Let's continue exploring the universe within art and the art behind farming. I'm your host, OmLedu, and in this video, we're going to be looking at how to build a super simple passive mob farm. Now, back in the good old days, killing a mob with a campfire would automatically cook the meat, but unfortunately, that is no longer the case. Luckily, there is still a super easy way for you to semi-automatically cook the food just by throwing it onto the campfires. The hoppers under those will automatically pick up the food as it gets cooked. Or of course, you could always use item sorters and furnaces, or even a trident killer so that you get looting from this farm. But for this video, I'm just going to stick to the basics to keep it as simple as possible. However, near the end of the video, I will touch on how to duplicate this farm just in case you do want better rates. But without further ado, let's get to building. So the first thing to think about is location. You do not want to build this over rivers or over the ocean. Keep in mind that different biomes spawn different types of mobs. So ideally, you want to build this in a plains, because that is where the most animals will spawn. And a telltale sign that you're in a plains is if you see horses spawning. But really, you can build this in any biome that will spawn animals. Now, if you do build it in a unique biome, like a mushroom island, keep in mind what blocks those animals can spawn on. So if you built this on a mushroom island, you would need mycelium instead of grass. But here's all the stuff you will need to build it. This scaffolding is totally optional. And then these 6 slabs is just if you want to cook your food on the campfires. But if you don't want to do that, you don't need these slabs. You will also need 15 stacks of any sort of building block, cobblestone or dirt or whatever. And then you will need at least a stack and a half of dirt with at least 1 grass block. Because in a lot of the biomes, the animals will only spawn on grass. Now, it's also a good idea to just bring 3 stacks of these dirt blocks with you. That will make it easier to build. Starting off, go to where you want to build this, and we're either going to use scaffolding or blocks, and we're just going to pillar up by an entire stack. So either an entire stack of scaffolding, which will allow you to get up and down easily, or an entire stack of blocks, and then use ladders or a bubble column for you to get up and down. It's also important not to have any tamed animals within the loading distance of this farm, or that will turn off animal spawning. But then we're going to build a platform up here that is around 6 by 6. It really doesn't matter how big this platform is, but we're going to place down a double chest, and then 2 blocks behind that double chest, we're going to go up by 4 blocks. Then after that, we're going to build a little ring that goes on top of the chest, like so. So you have a 2 by 2 hole looking at the 2 blocks behind the chest. Then build 8 blocks off of each of the corners. So go off 8 blocks in this direction, then go off 8 blocks in a different direction, then the third direction, and then finally 8 blocks in the fourth direction. And now we're just going to connect all of the ends of these rows together and then fill it in, so that you will end up with a 20 by 20 platform with a 2 by 2 hole directly in the middle, like so. And this can be made out of any blocks. But once we have this, we're going to go up by 1 more block along the edges. So all along the edges, go up by 1 more block. And then once we have this, we're going to place 1 block into all 4 of the corners. Now we need to grab our 2 water buckets, and we need to place water along all of the edges except for the blocks next to the corner. That's very important. Do not place water next to the corner blocks. So just go along and place water along all 4 of the sides except for the blocks next to the corners. And in survival, remember that you can place a water bucket and then place another one 1 block away, and the center block will turn into a water source that you can pick up infinitely. So you only need 2 water buckets to fill in the entire platform. But whenever you're done, the water should flow up to the hole just like so. This will double check that your platform is in fact 20 by 20. But once you do that, we're going to place a single bucket of water on top of each of these 4 corners that are sticking out. And that's it for your water platform. Now what we need to do is go up by 4 blocks along all of the walls. And remember that you can use any sort of blocks for this that you want to. You can use dirt or cobblestone or whatever. But once your walls are 4 blocks high, it's time to build the spawning platform. So remember, if you're building this like above a mushroom island, you'll need mycelium, but most other biomes, you're just going to need grass. But if you're trying to get a special animal to spawn, you might just look up and see what blocks that it can spawn on. But all of your generic animals just spawn on grass. So we're going to build 2 blocks away from the walls, and then we're not going to build above that hole. So we're going to make sure that there's a hole above the bottom hole, and then we're just going to fill in this platform so that it's 2 blocks away from each of the walls, like so. Now, technically, this is the pattern that we're going to be left with. We're going to build a bunch of 2 by 2 squares. So you can either build that as you go, or you can build an entire platform, especially if you need the grass to spread. Just build an entire platform and then go in and poke out 2x2 holes that are all touching diagonally. Like the corners of them should all be touching. So just go through and break out these 2x2 holes so that you're left with this checkerboard pattern. And now for the most tedious part about building this farm, and that is placing all of your trapdoors. So you need a trapdoor on the side of every single dirt block. So just go around and place trapdoors along every single side that you possibly can. I would recommend doing like one direction at a time, just to keep it more organized so that you can easily see where you have and where you haven't placed a trapdoor. Because some of these are going to look a little strange. Since trapdoors take up an entire block, but only cover one of the 4 sides, you're going to have some areas that are completely surrounded like this, and then you're going to have others that look like they're missing a trapdoor, but they're really not, because this trapdoor is covering that entire block. So when you're done, it should look something like this. Now also, along the walls, it's nice to place 2 trapdoors directly across from your dirt platforms. This just kind of encourages the animals to walk off in this direction as well. Now, if you can't afford all of these trapdoors, you can always skip some of them and come back and do it later. Again, the trapdoors just encourage the animals to jump off. But when you're done, place a bunch of torches around on top of the wall. At the bare minimum, place 2 torches in the center of each of the 4 walls. This will make sure that some animals will still spawn at nighttime. Or you could just not use torches and then cover the walls with either buttons, slabs, or leaves, and this will spawn hostile mobs during the nighttime. Now I will say that this style of farm used as a hostile mob farm will have really horrible rates. If you want an easy to build hostile mob farm with really good rates, check out the video that I will link here on the screen and in the video description. But next up, from the center of one of the walls, we're going to pillar out by 23 blocks. So count out 23 blocks away from the center of one of the walls, and this is going to be your AFK spot. Mobs of any kind will only spawn between 24 and 44 blocks away from where you're at. So you want to hang out at least 24 blocks away from the closest grass block. But now we need to build the kill chamber. So come back over to your platform. If any animals are on here, just see if they can fly. And like I mentioned before, if you really want to build a trident killer here, you totally can. And if you need help figuring it out, just let me know. The reason I didn't include that in this video is, for one, this is just a passive mob farm, so you don't really need the looting effect. And then for 2, horses and other large animals won't fit in your traditional trident killer. And whenever I build this, I never use a trident killer, because I usually build it at a sky farm with other farms so that it's just passively working, and I want to cut down on lag by not having a trident killer. But anyway, place your 4 hoppers going into that chest with campfires on top, then solid blocks or glass up here on the ceiling, and then slabs on the bottom of those surrounding your campfires. So now you will still be able to place your meat onto the campfires, but animals won't be able to escape. Now all that's left is to build a way back up to your AFK platform from down here on the bottom. So we're just going to kind of build a staircase of sorts to get up here. That way we can go hang out on our AFK platform and watch the animals spawn. You can either keep that or get rid of it, it's all totally up to you, but now you are done. So go nuts, decorate, add a staircase, you could even just expand this platform or just make a door so that you can just sit up here in AFK. But really, rather than AFKing, what I would recommend is build you a little platform up here and just hang out up here. Build some other farms, build some furnaces, build some trees, that way you can at least do some other things while you're passively gaining leather and feathers and meat. So as long as your platform is like 23 blocks away from the edge of that farm right there, you can just hang out anywhere in this area and it will still spawn animals. So go nuts, build other farms, build other things to do while you're gaining stuff. And remember that you can cook the meat for free just by placing it on these campfires and then walking away. The hoppers will automatically pick up the cooked meat and you'll be good to go. Or of course, you could always build a kelp or lava farm up here and then smelt it all. Now if you want to improve the rates without using a trident killer, or if you're just bored and want to do something, you can always duplicate this farm going off in every direction. So come back to your AFK platform and just count out 23 blocks away from your AFK spot. So count out 23 blocks and that will be the edge of the top of your farm. And really, this doesn't have to be super exact. Ideally, you want to be at least 24 away from the closest grass block and no more than 44 blocks away from the farthest away grass block. But as long as you're somewhere within that area, mobs will spawn on it and it will be okay. And keep in mind that it's much easier to build up than it is to build down, so I would recommend counting this out from the bottom. So figure out where your AFK spot is from the bottom, and then count out 23 blocks from there, and then that will be the edge of your farm. Also be sure to build all of this out of something that isn't grass. You know, the animals will only spawn on grass, so you want the only grass to be on their platform. And then also, the animals need access to sky, so don't build a roof over their platforms or anything like that. But that's all we got for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment to let me know that you were here. Or if you don't know what to say, just tell me hi. If you have any questions or requests, I will do my best to help you out, because you are super important. I can't keep making these videos without your support, so I really appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you again soon. But until next time, I've been your host, OmLedu, sharing a Minecraft farm with you, and reminding you, as always, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!